Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, YouTube streaming, and also via Skype online. Each one of you is welcome to this live streaming. Continuing the Sutra 5 with attention between the eyebrows. Let the form be filled with breath to the top and shower as light. What happens when you focus your eyes on a particular point? When you focus your eyes at a particular point, within 3 minutes, your inner attention begins to flow towards the third eye. And the moment the attention begins to flow towards the third eye, your face begins to change. Hypnotists use this technique, and the hypnotist knows the moment your face begins to change, suddenly your face loses its vitality, it becomes dead as if asleep. That moment, one who is working on you, hypnotist, immediately knows that the attention is being sucked by the third eye. Face has become dead, whole energy is running towards the third eye. At that moment, whatever is said will happen. He says, now you are falling into deep sleep. You will fall immediately. He says that you are now becoming unconscious, and this too happens. Now anything can be done. Now you have become, if he says that you have become healthy, sometimes these techniques are used to cure the deep subconscious. Your unconscious takes the order and creates the actuality. Two things is you can do it on your own, you imagine, and then whatsoever you imagine begins to happen. In this case, on your own, you cannot do you can do the imagination, but it becomes more effective when someone gives you the suggestion to create an imagination. Immediately it begins, the subconscious begins to reprogram. Sometimes it takes a little while, but it starts happening. If you are suffering from a disease, at that moment it can be ordered that the disease has disappeared and it will disappear. Or you can create new disease. Just putting an ordinary stone from the street on your hand, and hypnotist says this is fire in your hand, you will feel intense heat and the skin will burn. This is what is happening. There is no fire. The ordinary stone is cold. How can this happen? You are focused at the third eye, and when you are focused your third eye, your imagination is being given by the hypnotists, and they are being actualized. Imagination, you give a suggestion that becomes a imagination first. The moment it becomes an imagination, it starts being actualized. Even if at that moment it is said you are now dead, you will die immediately, your heart will stop. This happens because of the third eye. In the third eye, imagination and actualization are not two things. There is two things, imagination and actualization. Sometimes you can do it on your own. You want to bring about change. You sit down in your silence and imagine. This is what it is happening. And the moment your imagination deepens, it is centered in the third eye, actualization begins to take place. Imagination is the fact. Imagine and it is so. There is no gap between dream and reality. Imagination is a dream and actualization becomes a reality. There is no gap between dream and reality. Dream and it will become real. That is why Shankar said that the whole world is nothing else but the dream of the divine. Even modern psychologists say if you dream or dream big, it becomes auto-hypnosis. It begins to work. It is because the divine is centered in the third eye, always, eternally. And whatsoever the divine dreams becomes real. If you are centered in the third eye, whatsoever you dream or imagine will become actualized. This happened with Buddha's disciple Sariputta. He had been meditating deeply. And when you meditate deeply, then many things happen, vision starts coming. As it happens with anyone who goes into deep meditation, Sariputta began to see heavens, he began to see hell, angels, gods, demons. And they were very actual, so real that he came running to Buddha and told him that this is what is happening to him. But Buddha said, this is nothing but dreams, just dreams. But Sariputta said that they were so real, how can I say that they were dreams? When I see a flower in my vision, it is more alive than the real flower in the world. The fragrance is there, I can touch it. When I see you, He said to Buddha, I do not see you as the real. The flower is more real than your being just before me. So, how can I differentiate between what is real and what is dream? Buddha said, now that you are centered in the third eye, dream and reality becomes one. The moment you are centered in the third eye, dream and reality becomes one. Whatsoever you dream becomes real and vice versa. For one who is centered in the third eye, dreams will become real and whole reality will become just a dream. That is why Shankar said, because when your dream can become real, you know there is no basic difference between dream and reality. So when Shankar says that the whole world is Maya, illusion, the dream of the divine, it is not theoretical preposition, it is not a philosophical statement, it is rather the inner experience of the one who is focused on the third eye. When you are focused, Shankar is focused in the third eye. Third eye is the center of the divine. When imagination can become real, then real can become illusion as well. When you are focused in the third eye, just imagine that the essence of prana is showering from the top of the head, just as if you are sitting under the tree and the flowers are showering on you, or just under the sky, under the clouds when the clouds begin to shower, and you are just sitting in the morning and the sun rays begin to shower on you. Imagine, and immediately there is a shower of light falling down on the top. This shower recreates you, gives you a new birth. You are reborn. The purpose of this fifth technique that was given to Pythagoras is such that when your attention is between the eyebrows, imagination and reality becomes one, and that time let the form be filled with light to the top, as if you are sitting under the tree and flowers are showering, or you are sitting under the sky full of clouds and the rain, there is a shower, or you are sitting under the sun and you are filled with light. When this begins to happen, you are reborn. In this technique, you have withdrawn yourself from. Now the next technique, the sixth, when in the worldly activity, doing anything, walking on the street, talking, keep the attention between two breaths. That's why it is said that there, when meditation happens, you develop a two-pointed arrow. Normally when we are talking, our attention remains, immediately shifts onto the other to whom we are speaking. We forget about ourselves. That's why at times we say things which we do not mean, and we have to repent. So once point points towards your center, the heart, which is the space between two breaths, and the other goes towards the other. So the sixth technique says, when you are in the worldly activity, keep attentive between two breaths. And so practicing, in a few days, you will be born anew. When in worldly activity, keep attention between two breaths. Forget breath. Keep attention between two breaths. One breath comes before it returns, before it is exhaled, there is a gap, interval. One breath has gone out. Again, before it comes in, there is a gap. In worldly activity, keep attentive, remain attentive between these two breaths. And so practicing, in a few days, you are reborn. But it cannot be done continuously. This technique has to be done continuously. This is why it is mentioned when in the worldly activity. When we look into the Sufi Kalmat, there are certain techniques, nazar wa qadam. You are walking, but your attention is on your feet. Hosh dardam. Every moment there is awareness. There is a great resemblance between the two. Whenever you are doing anything, keep attention between two breaths. But this can only be practiced when you are in the activity. How can you keep your attention on the feet when you are walking? A simple thing is told, a practical one, that with that you will not fall. You will not stumble. We have discussed one technique that is just similar. Now there is only this difference, that this has to be done, it has to be practiced while in the worldly activity. Never practice it in isolation. This practice has to be done when you are doing something else. You are eating, go on eating and let there be attention on the gap. The moment attention is on the gap, the situation comes as if you are not breathing at all. You are walking, go on walking and attention be on the gap. You go to sleep, lie down, let sleep come. But your attention be between the gap. Why is it essential to have that this has to be done in activity? Because when you are involved in something, it distracts the mind. Activity calls for attention again and again. Do not be distracted, be fixed in the gap. And do not stop activity. Let the activity continue. You will have two layers of existence, doing and being simultaneously. Doing You are doing the activity and being centered in your, centered between the two breaths. Simultaneously doing and being is happening. And as such, when you look at it, you are two layers of existence, the world of doing and the world of being. How is it? There is circumference and there is center. In order to walk, you have to go on the periphery, circumference. Go on walking on the periphery, on the circumference, do not stop it. But go on walking attentively on the center as well. The connectivity between the center and the circumference remains what will happen. That time, your activity, whatsoever you are doing, will become an acting. As if you are playing your part. The world, that is why these words flowed. The world is fine a stage on which we come to act our part. Then do the most of what ye may, cause frigid claws of death may soon descend and seal your humble fate. Cause frigid claws of death may soon descend and seal your humble fate, then you shan't have time to mend. The world is fine a stage. The wheel of time too swiftly it moves, goes on mopping as it rolls. No power can its fury ebb or check its passage. It has been going and shall go forever without a break. Then do the most of what ye may, cause frigid claws of death may soon descend and seal your humble fate. Then you shan't have time to mend. In order to do the activity, you have to go on to the circumference. In order to speak to you, I have to come out from the center, move from the center through the radius to this circumference. Speak to you, but I am connected to my center. Go on walking on the periphery. Do not stop, but be aware. Go on walking attentively on the center to what will happen. You will realize the activity will become an acting, as if you are playing your part. You are playing your part, for example, in a drama. You have to become Ram, or you have to become a Christ, or you have to play any other part. You go on acting as Christ or as Ram, but you will remain yourself. In the center, you know who you are. On the periphery, you are acting, playing the part of role as Ram or Christ or anyone else. You know you are not Ram. You are simply acting. You know who you are. Your attention is centered in you. Your activity continues on the circumference. If this method is practiced, your whole life will become a long drama. You will be an actor playing the roles, different roles, but constantly centered in the gap. If you forget the gap, then you are not playing the role. Instead, you have become the role. Then it is not a drama. You have mistaken it as a reality, as life. That is what we have done and we continue to do. Everyone thinks he is living life. It is not life. You are simply playing the role, a part that has been given to you by the society, by the circumstances, by the culture, by the tradition, the country, the situations. You have been given a role and you are playing it, but you are identified with it. To break that identification, this technique is needed. These are the techniques of attentiveness. Krishna has many names. One of the name is great actor. He is constantly centered in himself and playing many roles, many games. And he is absolutely non-serious about it. He is giving the message of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, but he is non-serious. Seriousness comes when you are identified with it. If you become Ram in the drama, then you are bound to be in problems. Those problems will come out of your seriousness, your identification. Sita is stolen, you may get a heart attack. The whole play will have to be stopped. If you really become Ram, a heart attack is certain, even heart failure. But you are just an actor. Sita is stolen, but nothing is stolen. It is an act that is being performed. You will go back to your home, will sleep peacefully. The identification is the problem. Not even in a dream you will feel that Sita is stolen. When really Sita was stolen, Ram himself was weeping, crying and asking the trees and everyone, the rivers, the mountains, have you seen my Sita? Tulsidas has given a particular verse, He Khag Mrag. Khag, the animals, Mrag, deer. Tum dekhi Sita Mragnayani. Have you seen Sita with dog eyes? Who has taken her? But this is the point to understand. If Ram is weeping and asking the trees, he has become identified. He is no more Ram. He is no more a divine person. This is the point to remember, that for Ram, his real life was also just a part. You have seen the other actors playing the role of Ram, but Ram himself was not just playing on a greater stage, of course. India has beautiful stories about it. I think one story is unique. Nowhere else in any part of the world does such a thing exists. It is said Valmiki, the sage, wrote Ramayana before Ram was born. That is why it is said in Ram was acting. Before Ram was born, Ramayana was written, and then Ram has to follow every episode. So really the first act of Ram was just a drama. The whole story was written before Ram was born, and Ram was simply following. This happened only in India. So, what can he do? When a man like Valmiki writes the story, Ram has to follow. So, everything was fixed in a particular way, just as a story writer has written the story. Because it is to be followed by an incarnate, it was given the religious sanction. So Sita was to be stolen, the war has to be fought. If you can understand this, you will understand the whole concept, theory of destiny, fate. It has a very deep meaning. And the meaning is, if you take it that everything is fixed for you, your life will become an acting a drama. If you are playing the role of a Ram in the drama, you cannot change the script. Everything is fixed, even your dialogue. If you are saying something to Sita, it is just repeating something that is fixed. You cannot change it. For example, you are going to die on a particular day, it is fixed. When you will be dying, you will be weeping, but it is fixed. And such person will be around you. That too is fixed. If everything is fixed, everything becomes a drama. If everything is fixed, you are just to act it. You are not asked to live it. You are asked to enact it. This technique is just to make you a psychodrama, just a play. You are tossed, you are focused between two breaths, centered, and life moves on the periphery, circumference. This is Hoshdardam. At no point in time, your attention should move from the center, between the two breaths. Your attention is at the center, then your attention is not really on the periphery. That is just a mere sub-attention. It just happens somewhere near your attention. You can feel it, you can know it, but it is not significant. It is as if that it is not happening to you. I will repeat it. If you practice this technique, your whole life will be as if it is not happening to you. Instead, it is happening to someone else. You go to the hospital, you see a person suffering, you know it very well. It is not you who is suffering. My body is suffering, but I am not the body. That is what Shankar says, Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I am the eternal, formless and born. Mano Buddhi Ahankar Chittani Naham. I am neither the body nor the mind nor the breath, nothing like. I have no father, no mother, no relation, nothing. Simply playing the role. This father happened to be my father. On the stage, I am simply performing my role. So if you begin to practice, this is somewhere, this technique is between the two, the Hosh Dardam, the 11, the Kalmat, and the Hosh Dardam and Nazar Bar Kadam. Khilbat Dar Anjuman. Khilbat Dar Anjuman. It is the essence of all those 11 kalmat. Only this much for this morning. Until we meet again, take care and do have a pleasant day.